Lee, the Mayor of the City of Pickle and Third Ward Commissioner. Thank you for attending the Biannual State of the City Address this morning to learn about the city's programs and projects over the past 2 years and plans for our community's future. To start, I invite you to stand and state the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin today's presentation, I'd like to welcome David Fishback out to offer an invocation for today's gathering. And David is the preaching pastor of the Pickle Christian Church and a steadfast volunteer in the City of Pickle Board.
Lord, thank you so much for the ability to join you in your work of just blessing this world, and building communities, and businesses, and families. Thank you for everybody in this room, Lord, and just for the authorities that they have, the powers they have, the influence they have, the leadership they have, just to be able to creatively, through their experience, their imagination, to really just give us a view of what our city and our community is really like, to have them just voice their opinions and their leadership and their creativity, and just sometimes even just straight up with their vote and using their power and their authority. God, we thank you so much that you are the example of how to use influence and leadership in this world, and you're humble and you're servant, and we just thank you for that example. So God, we just come together and ask you just to bless this area of your kingdom, to bless this area of Ohio, and just thank you that you have seen fit for us to have any role in taking care of this section of your world. Amen.
Thank you for leading us off with those warm words, Pastor. I think you framed today's conversation very well. First, let's give appreciation to the Pickle Area Chamber of Commerce for hosting today's events and providing us a platform to share these updates. Let's give them a hand. As we present today, please feel free to help yourself to another cup of coffee or pastry. I would next like to introduce my fellow Pickle City Commissioners in attendance this morning. Vice Mayor and First Ward Commissioner Jim Vedder, Fourth Ward Commissioner Thomas Homan, and Fifth Ward Commissioner Frank Ross. Let's give them a hand. I would also like to extend a special welcome to Jack Graham, Field Representative for the U.S. Representative Mike Carey, John Gomez, Southwest Regional Affairs Liaison for Ohio Treasurer of State Robert Sprague, and Miami County Commissioner Wade Westfall. Let's give them a hand. Thank you for being here. And it's now my pleasure to allow our City Manager, Paul Oberhofer, to share with you the work we've been implementing in our community over the past 2 years. Paul does a great job. I'm very pleased with what he does and the successes that we have in the city aren't usually highlighted, but I'm going to let him tell you all the good stuff that's been going on, and you be the judge. So, Paul.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this morning. It's an amazing opportunity to be able to celebrate the community and all the input that the community's had, the voice, and giving us success in celebrating these 165 slides that we're going to watch. So we're going to get going. So I want to just quickly cover our form of government so people understand how we operate. At the top, we have the citizens. And the citizens elect the 5 commissioners, and the commissioners set policy and vision through ordinances, resolutions. They also set the strategic plan, which helps the community move forward through the community voice, and also the community goals. The commission then hires the professional, which would be me, the city manager. I act as the CEO of the company, and through the corporation, then we have the staff that actually executes everything. While I may have some great ideas, or maybe not some great ideas, the staff through the leadership team executes on those ideals. And so you can see we have in our table of organizations the citizens and the city commission, and through the city manager's office we have 10 departments that deliver all of the programs and services that the city puts forward. So I wanted to talk about the strategic plan because when I got here in 2021, the strategic plan was a list of maybe 10 capital projects, and that's not really a strategy for moving a community forward. So we got together with the commission and decided we wanted to do a strategic plan and talk about the voice of the community and what the community priorities were. And so that first part of putting together the strategic plan was to do an environmental scan. All right. So through the environmental scan, we were able to understand what the demographics looked like, what challenges we had, and do a SWOT analysis that helped guide the strategic plan and put forth the framework for it. After we did that, we had employee survey, we also had a community survey, and we had interviews with the community that through which we gained community input to guide us on the framework of the document. After that, we had a nice work session with the commission and the city manager's office, as well as the leadership team, to sit down and talk about, what were all these inputs and what does it mean to the community, and how do we deliver on all these items that the community is really interested in. So through our work session, the areas that were identified was basically the four at the bottom: unified community, a thriving economy, responsive services, and a reliable infrastructure. And also, too, the vision that was brought forward was building an inclusive, innovative, and collaborative community that propels people forward. It's a very simple statement that helps guide the vision down through the mission of the staff to deliver these things. And our mission is dedicated public servants who take pride in providing essential services that promote the quality of life for the Biannual community. This was something that we lacked when I got here. Without mission, how do you know what you're delivering? So I'm really pleased that we have a great mission statement. And our values, which help us work through the mission, are accountability, integrity, professionalism, and teamwork. And I can espouse that all 192 employees that work with me do a great job at that. So let's look at the unified community. HIPAA unites residents, businesses, and government in a community advancement. And so what does that really mean? Well, we did a really poor job of communicating when I got here. We had one PR analyst, and we just really did a bad job of getting our information out and telling our story and celebrating all the great things that we do. So one of the things that we've done over the last 2 years is I've hired a public information officer. Michelle Perry's in the back of the room. And we recently hired a PR analyst to help her out. And we made an investment in technology because today everybody pulls their phone out when they're waiting in line at the store to find out what's going on at the city, right? That's how we get our information. So using social media, we get our message out timely instead of people hear it after the fact and make up a narrative because they lack all the information up front to understand the story. So we do that using several platforms, Meta or Facebook, X or Twitter, LinkedIn, as well as Nextdoor. And Michelle's done an outstanding job of making sure that our message and our communications go out timely through all 4 of those platforms. And in addition to that, we have improved customer relations management and better accessibility and transparency through the improvements that we've made on the website. This is the website that we had when I got here in 2021, and it's pretty offensive looking. I don't know, just the colors and the format. But navigating was very difficult, and even when I was doing my research to come here and interview, you couldn't find anything on the website unless you really had to dig deep, and it made it very difficult for anybody in the public to find documents. So we embarked on standing up a new website. This is our Civic Plus platform that we stood up. It's very intuitive. It's mobile device friendly, which is very important for the day. In doing such, and what we did was it allowed us to post our news and our programs and notices a lot more effectively and in a manner in which you can navigate on your mobile device when you're waiting in line at Kroger to check out or waiting in line at the gas station. And what that allows is then better community engagement. And so we have 17 boards and committees and commissions that really set the tone for the community through what they have in their individual missions. And since then, we've added the Historic Review Commission and the Fire Committee. So we have 19 right now that allow the community to participate and get their voice heard. In addition to that, we have 4 commission town halls a year. The Mayor and Commissioners Corners every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. at City Hall. And that's well attended, and it's a really great opportunity to get your voice heard in a very good setting with private. I attend special interest group meetings and do quite a few community presentations to get our good news out and to get the community feedback on how we're doing. And we have a lot of community events, special events. We have a veteran banner program that we've taken over from the chamber. And then we have a customer service survey that we completed for UBO, and we're currently in a brand development initiative right now, and that will be rolled out later this summer. And that's going to help us understand the identity of the city. We have like 5 or 6 different brands floating around right now, and none of them are really intuitive. It doesn't really speak to who the community is. So through this initiative, we reached out to the community to understand what is our identity and what is our brand, because brand is very important. Speaking of brand, some of the other unified community initiatives we did, we worked with the Caldwell Historic District and did signage to delineate their area of the city and really highlight the architecture. We have neighbors helping neighbors, and Joe's not here, but thanks to him, that's some of our staff that worked on a project. We have a crank pump over there on the left that also volunteered. This is some of our public works, parks, and power system folks that are helping set up for an event. Our police department does quite a few different programs there. Fire department entertains some of the kids from Spring Creek Elementary. They really like, the equipment and getting on the gurney and the ambulance. The Pickle Community Foundation very graciously gave us a grant so that we'll have our first K-9 that'll happen this year. So that's a very important thing for the city, because it doesn't just help the police department, but it's also a statement about our reputation, because when your other neighbors around you don't have a K-9 program, and we do, that makes us elevated in terms of our ability to provide services. This is the banner program again, and we took this over from the chamber. These are just some examples. We have rock pickle on the left over there, and just fireworks we do twice a year. We did fireworks once a year, and it was so well received that we budgeted for 2 times a year. And the fireworks during the New Year's Eve is really a great way to celebrate. We also had the initiative. We worked collaboratively with the community and the foundation to decorate downtown. There was a couple of years where we really struggled to get the staffing and to get the materials that we needed to effectively decorate for the holiday season. And this year, phase 1 of the new decorations, I think, was very well received. It also sent a statement about our community that's classy and welcoming, and I think that's very important. All that being said, that when you look at our unified community, nothing says it better than the hallmark moment that we had in this short meeting. So as we move on, thriving economy. This is a very important area, because without a thriving economy, we don't have the resources or the reputation and move the community forward. And that's greatly based on the fact that we're a river community. Not every community has an asset such as the Great Miami River that we do to build upon. And part of that is just looking at some of the opportunities that we have to maximize the use of the river. And part of that was using Lock 9 as our cornerstone for development. Lock 9's been instrumental so far in a pipeline of between $40 to $50 million of private investment that's going to happen over the next several years, and that's because of the park. And this photo from 2019 kind of shows the way the park used to be laid out, and it really looks bad when you look at the new picture. And I didn't do that purposefully. It's not Photoshop. It just happened to be the picture. But the new picture does demonstrate how things have been cleaned up and creating a placemaking initiative that's going to be very important to bringing people from the outside of the community. And so we'll just take a look at a few of the photos. This is the performance pavilion, and I'd like to thank Brett Reed for all of his drone photography. But the pavilion, we did a design change on the pavilion and changed up from the original Biannual concept of concrete and a flat roof to something that was more of a statement piece. And through value engineering, actually we saved quite a bit of money. We added two restroom facilities that were not in the original plan. So we stayed within budget and we created a really key piece of structure downtown that is unlike anything in the area. So when we have events there, people from the outside come and they see what we have. It's really going to be a statement piece for the community. So it's very exciting. This is a rendering of Crooked Handle and the interface between that and the park. And here's just last week, more of the same construction activities are taking place. So you can see already that it's starting to come together in the vision and really create a placemaking opportunity. When you look at downtown, you know, when I got here, we had flower pots in the middle of the road, and we had a lot of traffic issues, and we had crashed before, which I wasn't proud of, but after some assessment, we decided to remove the flower pots from the middle of the road and change the direction of the traffic on Market, and so that created a better flow. So if you can't find a parking space over by the plaza, you can swing around and go up past Fifth Third and look for parking, and so that's eliminated all of that conflict that we had on Main Street. This is just a high-level rendering of potential opportunity downtown with quads. As we work forward over the next year, we're going to be engaging the community and doing design elements for downtown and placemaking that speak to the community's desire to have places to go that are gathering and warm and welcoming, not just for our residents, but also for the people that we bring to town. And while that may look scary about the parking, believe it or not, we gain parking spaces with this design. Pickwa Center, it's another great redevelopment out at the old mall, and it's absolutely doing a great job out there with the 3 different elements that they have out there. It's been very successful. We're going to have the 4th Fest out there this year, and I'm very happy that they've taken that over. It's the correct place to hold it. It's safe. One of the other developments, this is the Red Roof site. So last year, the city took control of the old Red Roof Inn site so that we had an opportunity to work with the developer to bring what the community had been asking for. And that's a hotel, a sit-down restaurant, and actually a convenience restaurant as well. And so when we talked to the business community, they're like, we want a national brand and we can book online and we get points for when our out-of-town guests stay. We would love to have an Olive Garden. I don't know how many people said that when I first got here, but an Olive Garden is like a really big desire for the community. So in doing that, working with the developer, we're in the process of going through and delivering these items that the community desires with the help of the commission, authorizing the expenditures. And what that will yield is over 10 years, $207 million of economic output from that particular site. And that's without the Chipotle that's slated to go there as well. And so that has a huge, not just economic impact, but as a big impact for the city, because that's a gateway to the community, and cleaning up that derelict property and getting new development out there is really critical for the community. Driving economy also, when you look at that, we have quite a few sites that are available, and this is important, having open land, utilities, and infrastructure available to bring businesses to your community is very, very critical to the success of any community. And working with Jobs Ohio and the Dayton Development Coalition, we've been fortunate enough to host Fortune 100, 200, and 400 companies over the last 2 years. And what that means for us is that these are companies that are willing to have a capex of north of $1.5 billion and make substantial investments in our community and bring up to 2,500 jobs. So as we work through the economic development opportunities at the Old Statler Farm over the next few years, I think you'll see that start to become a highlight of our community in terms of generating economic activity. Some of the other things that we do is the Community Development Block Grant, and we have 8 plant structures demolished, and that was for $139,000 of grant funding from the state. We have Community Housing Impact and Preservation CHIP, and that was 8 projects for a total of $227,000. And small business grants that were an outcome of $500,000 in commission that allowed us to authorize for small business grants from ARPA funds. And so we had 14 completed projects, 11 in the pipeline, and now 500,000. We've expended 372,000 next year. Next is responsive services. You know, a community's only as good as the services you get from it. Pickle promotes continuous improvement in the delivery of city services that meet the evolving needs of our community, and our needs change constantly. Part of that has to do with our development code. So we had Code Pickle that came out, and it's a hybrid form-based code that it varies from the old Euclidean codes that were very rigid, and so the flexibility of the form-based code allows us to work with the development community, and it sets us apart from our neighbors because we have something that the development community wants. They want that type of code because it allows them to bring their investment and to do things that ordinarily can't be done. Also, what we've added is GIS, and Geographical Information System, and we hired a manager. She's here today, Kelly Allen. Thank you. And so GIS is really the authoritative data of record. So when you look at a community that's progressive, all their data is contained in GIS. And the reason for that is because using a visual environment and tying all the records and data together allows you to make more complete decisions and more informed decisions than if you just make the decisions based on spreadsheets or on other documents. So having a GIS environment also allows us to reach the outside and communicate that information. Part of that was system improvements, which we invested in with Esri, and stood up GeoPickler, which this again is our outward-facing engine. This allows us to not only speak to the community, but to potential developers and investors in the city. This is a simple leaf pickup map, so you can get online and see when your leaf pickup's going to be done. And I like this one because it's showing that everything was complete last year. Thank you, Brian. This is the street sweeping map, and it denotes when you can expect to have street sweeping in your neighborhood. This is the zoning development and public map viewer that shows you the different zoning areas in the city. So again, as a potential business moving to town or a developer, you can get on and get the information you need without having to make a phone call to the city. And so being sophisticated in how we project our information, it again makes us attractive and builds our reputation. One of the more important areas is code compliance, and so this is our code compliance map that shows we have 50 condemned properties currently on the map. We have 171 open cases, and since 2016, they've closed 1,700 cases, which is a lot of cases, and thanks to code compliance for taking care of that. And so we talk about why is that important. Well, when you look at code enforcement, A lot of times property maintenance, if you have somebody that owns a home and they have rental property next door, or they have somebody that's not keeping their property up, it diminishes the value of their property. So we want to have good code enforcement that speaks not only to property maintenance, but also to the rental inspection program that is going to be stood up in 2026. We're going to have registration in 24 and registration and education in 25 with the program slated to go live in 26. And why are we doing this? Well, this is just one of 4 houses that burned over from January to today. We had 4 total residential losses. Out of those 4, 3 were rental properties that did not have smoke detectors. And so the people that are living there in conditions that are not necessarily suitable. And so the rental inspection program is being stood up to help maintain the safety of the people that rent our stock. This is a street alley and bike path closure, and so again, we put our closures and DTIP and detours on here so we can communicate to the public when we're going to be doing maintenance work. Again, so you have Lot 9 downtown is the cornerstone, and part of that in the desire of having a thriving economy and responsive community is having housing. And so part of being responsive is having opportunity for people living in the community. This is RCS concept of Lot 9 apartments across the street from Lot 9 that should be underway this year. This is the Old Rose Restaurant and a rendering of what it potentially looked like. We've had quite a bit of interest now that Lot 9 has been under construction. There's interest in the restaurant. Zolo, I know it's been on the books for a long time, but it's a very complicated project when you have a complex capital stack that requires a lot of funding from outside sources, and so we have a strong belief that that's going to be underway this year, due in part to the fact that we have a community, a local historic CLG. Chris, help me out.
Certified local government.
Thank you. The Town and Country, which is going out of business, we also have some interest in that, either mixed use or potentially a boutique hotel. And the polling building as well. It's another historic structure that, based on the new CLG, we will be able to have, the developer will be able to have grant funding that otherwise would not be in place and convert the building. These are also some future townhomes on Main Street that there's an interest in constructing across from the Lowe's restaurant. This is just a sample of what they would look like and certainly dress up Main Street. And then we have the Point, Indian Ridge. This is the most recent phase of Indian Ridge. And we have Arrowhead as well under construction. Some of the other things that we do are really behind the scenes, and so I wanted to highlight a few of those departments. Our IT department was very outdated when I arrived, and that's dangerous for a community. If you've been following the news, Huber Heights was hacked, and they spent $3 million undoing what they should have been doing all along, which is keeping their IT systems up to date. And so we invested heavily in IT, and in our partner, we have a managed service agreement right now with our partner Arrow, and they manage our network. And so this is the mess that they encountered, and this is just a picture of it being cleaned up. And again, just the server room and some of the advancements that they've made. More importantly, when you look at network security, this is our CrowdStrike software that keeps our network safe, and that's the total Overwatch analyzed events, which is near 7,000. And so that just means that there were penetration attempts and that the CrowdStrike software evaded or averted that. IT's taking care of 1,397 help desk tickets. That was at 10:20 yesterday morning, according to them. And they installed 50 PC laptops last year, and when I got here, it was a little frightening that we still have Windows 7 online, which is a huge security risk. When you look at utility business office, they handled almost 52,000 cash transactions and almost 15,000 check transactions. But in all total, it's our most outward-facing department. When it comes down to it, they handle 160,000 transactions a year. That's a lot of activity, and when you have a customer interface that big, having the right department is critical. And we hired the right manager, and he's hired the right staff, and my phone no longer rings off the hook for people that are upset with UDO. And with the introduction of Smart Hub, it's really propelled the community forward. We're doing something that no other community around us is doing. Some of the other important things, human resources. This is just a photo of, we have a food truck in the wintertime to thank the employees for, working with the storm events and coming in when it's a holiday and everybody else gets to stay home with their family. These are just some photos from our employee appreciation picnic that we have out at the golf course now. And human resources is really important because in a post-COVID environment, right now we're struggling with how do you attract and retain talent. And talent acquisition is key to getting everything done that we're talking about tonight. So with looking at things through a different lens and having modified work hours, potentially if you're able to work remote, things of that nature, that's helped keep the employees happy, and it also helps us attract and retain potential talent. Our finance department, a lot of them are with us this morning. In 2022, they were awarded the GFOA Award of Excellence for Reporting. They've submitted for 23, and I would suspect again they will receive that award. This is just a quick snapshot of the 5 largest funds and the trends. If you look at how the city's been fiscally responsible, so the blue line is our revenue and the orange line is expenses, and you always want to see your expenses below your revenue. And so the general fund has been excelling since 2021 in keeping that gap open. Again, the street maintenance fund, this is the 101 fund. We're doing a good job of managing that. The street levy income taxes is resurfacing, and the pavement preservation fund. You can see there was an uptick in 22 where we really didn't do anything in 21 until we got the program in place, and then we overspent in 22 to get caught up, and that was an intentional expenditure, and now we're on track in 2023 to be fiscally responsible year over year in delivering the program. Safety, that's police and fire. That trend always seems to look pretty much the same. It's the most expensive service that we provide, but it's also the most critical. In the electric fund, there was a change in the way that the fund was calculated, and so there was an uptick in 22, but that'll correct itself in 24. Water fund, you can see, is very much on track, and Kevin does a nice job making sure that our funds are solid. Some of the things that the finance department's been helping us with, we work with the meter group, and what they do is they look at the amount of available cash that we have on hand that was bank deposit, and then we were investing in short-term investments, and they did a distribution of what that looks like in the short-term investments so that we could understand what our revenue potential was. And before we did this, we were only earning around 100 or 130,000-ish in short-term investment revenue. And with this program, we expect to earn over $1 million this year. When you look at income tax, we did a switch from internal income tax collection to RETA. And one of the reasons that I picked RETA was when I got here, I found out that we left $2.8 million of uncollected income tax, fees, and penalties on the books. And so when you think about what $2.8 million would do for the community, that's a tremendous impact. So using RETA, what that allows them, because they're identified by the IRS as being an agency equivalent to the state, they can get into the IRS records, and through their algorithm, it's really hard to not pay the city what you owe in income tax. And so much so that what we realized is that through voluntary filing, in 2022, we were at 13 million, and year over year before that, it was essentially $1 million, between $600,000 and $1 million a year over year increase. To collections in 23 were at 15 million, which was a $2 million increase. So just the voluntary filing has gone up. I believe there's about 400,000 in uncollected income tax right now that RETA is going to collect Some of the other important services are sanitation services. Everybody, when you do a community survey, they rank right up there with police and fire. It's a critical service, and we appreciate the work that they do. This is just a short video I'm going to play from Public Works and Parks teams that were out resurfacing the trail. And, when you think about pavement maintenance, we have asphalt not just on the street, but we also have a trail system. So what we decided to do was combine both the asphalt trail system and the street system, and through pavement preservation, do activities that will lengthen the service life of that asset. As you can see, they're incredibly efficient, and to do small work like that is really more cost effective for us to do it in-house. To have a contractor do that work, contractors make their money through output, and it's how many tons that they put down a day. It's really how they generate their revenue. For us, it's the small, I call it Swiss Army knife projects that we have with the crews. That's where we benefit greatly, and they're very capable. When you look at Public Works, we're starting to keep a lot of metrics about how we do our work, and that will tie back to the strategic plan as time goes forward. And so they develop key performance indicators that talk about how much time that we spend doing the work that we do so that we understand capacity. What I challenged all the departments with this year was to do an annual work plan. And so as time goes on, that will become part of the budget document. And what that will specify is what our human capital and our financial capabilities are, and be sure that we can meet capacity and not over-promise or over-produce in certain areas. This is a picture of just a tornado. Power Systems was doing assistance with a recent tornado. In our power system, this is a very critical thing. So total number of unscheduled outages per year, you can see from 2004, this chart goes to 2021, how the line has dropped off. And so that allows our power system to be the RP3 Diamond system, which is highly rated and is a public provider. Very few, I think there's only 80 or 88 agencies that are able to achieve that. This is some smoke testing that was done, and this looks like a late night underground, probably a water break. Again, we're home in bed, and our folks, when things happen, they get up and they take care of business. This is our new water plant that came online in 2017. Again, this is a key element to the development and potential development of a mega site, because having utilities that are available are critical to courting any company that wants to come to town. This is a water treatment plant that was completed, the expansion in 2019, and you can see the new tanks over here. This is the old system here. And again, having capacity is key to economic development. This is our new to us ladder truck that we are going to be receiving shortly from Clear Creek Fire District, just south of Dayton. And this is a stopgap measure that we put in place because, again, when I got here, there was no ladder truck. The community, there was a lot of outcry as to why we didn't have one. So working with our leadership team in fire and actually the firefighters themselves that looked at many of these units, we found something that could be a short-term solution. So we have purchased a 2001 ladder truck that is going to give us 6 to 7 years of service life while we put together a financing plan. Part of that financing plan had to do with the fact that when we looked at our township contracts that we provide EMS and fire services, the per capita expenditure in the city of Piqua is $316 per person to have those services. Out in the townships, it was $78. So that disparity wasn't being very well addressed. So over the course of the last year, and with a lot of heartache We renegotiated the contracts that bring that up to about $150 per person in the township to help offset the cost for the residents. And over the course of the next 6 years, we predict or forecast that increase in revenue will generate about $1.7 million, and that will pay for the new ladder truck. So just that marginal increase out in providing services outside the city limits has got a dramatic impact for the city residents as a whole. This is the new training center, and I'll go over the full name. It's the PICWA Public Safety Regional Training Center. It's quite a long name. But this came about out of the grant. It was a state budget line item, $400,000 grant that we were awarded with the partnership of Bowling Green State Fire School. Through them and having a regional fire training center, they can do technical training, they can do confined space training, and also to have live birds and certification for firefighters. We struggle, fire industry and police right now, trying to get good employees is very difficult. It's $1 here, they'll leave to go over to another community. It's really hard to have retention. And so we've established in the fire department, we hire in EMTs, so they're emergency medical technicians, and then we train them up to be paramedics. And so through that process, we're paying for their training, and they get certified, and they get the opportunity to make more money and provide greater services. But that gives us a pipeline to make sure that we have firefighters. Over the last couple of years, we've hired 10 firefighters, and I believe 4 police officers with many, as of late, many promotional opportunities in the police department. Some of the other responsive services that we do in terms of the police department, careful corners, you can see the new police cruiser. This is the golf course that's owned by Hampton, and we've had an increase in revenues from that just simply through their marketing and the management of the golf course. They've done some really fantastic things. Just the vibe when you go out there is just incredible. And so what we're looking to the future is adding Top Tracer, which is, if you go to Top Golf in any big city, it's the same technology, but it's made for a small driving range. And based on the white papers from Top Tracer, a community our size, we've realized an increase of 600% in revenues from having an asset like that. And it becomes a destination. I mean, who doesn't want to go out there and have a slice of pizza and hit the ball, right? Likewise, Fort Pickle Plaza, this beautiful building that we're in, very expensive to maintain, and we need to increase our revenues, so we work with Hampton. They have the contract for managed service provider, and through their marketing, again, they just started. We predict that in 24 and going into 25, we'll have increased revenues that will offset the cost of doing maintenance. When you look at our core performance, we had really flat sales, and unfortunately, when you look at revenues versus expenditure for this building, the red is the expenses, and green is revenue, and that gap is starting to widen, and it's simply because we have this beautiful building that costs a lot of money to maintain. Pickle Parks Department, Amy couldn't be with us today, Amy Walker, but the Parks Department has really done the first step of what we expect the future to be in terms of how we report out things to the public. And that has to do with creating metrics and understanding how much money that we're actually putting in and time we're putting into different service areas that we have. They have this list of tasks, and if you look at the wheel here, they start to keep track of how much time they're spending on each of these tasks and what location. So it's a location-based, GIS-based input. And then what does that program cost? And eventually we'll get down to unit cost. How much does it cost per acre? How much does it cost us per trash can empty? And having those metrics is just key to Business 101 to understand where we put our resources. So the Parks Department is the first department to go through that. Our last section here is reliable infrastructure, and then you get to go. Pickle maintains modern and cost-effective infrastructure while supporting future growth. Infrastructure is key to the potential redevelopment, development, and investment that comes to town. We talked about water, sewer, power, things of that nature, but there are other things as well. The Ohio Indiana to Trail Bridge was closed for a period of time due to a fire, and we've had that repaired. That's the new pedestrian bridge down at the park. New shelter and concession. They did golf course drainage, delineating, I can't remember what hole it was, but they had always water, standing water after it rained, and then they paved the front cart path. That's the new salt barn, the old salt barn. It was held together with toothpicks. It was very dangerous. And so we built a structure that if Public Works was to move out there, we could take with us. Gas turbine controls. This is key to our ability for the power system to peak shade and having the turbines. That investment yields a net of about $1 million for the community in savings. Upgraded 15 kV relay, so again, just keeping our power system at RP3 grade. And the LED lighting improvements, these are amazing. When you look downtown and get rid of that high pressure sodium haze of that orange glow, we've gone to the LEDs, it really makes the buildings really stand out. NISC, again, the having Smart Hub and NISC take care of the back end of the building has done wonders for our DDO office and also with our outward-facing customers. And this is just a picture of the traffic pattern change on Market, where we changed the direction off Main. The tree project that's currently underway. Water main and sanitary water main. Again, pavement preservation. This, when I got here, we were simply doing mill and fill, and so we would mill off 3 inches and put 3 inches of new asphalt down. It's not really cost effective when we look at our network of, I think it's 215 million miles of roadway that we have to take care of, and so we implemented a pavement preservation program that takes a better look at how do we basically maintain our pavement and triage what we have so that it doesn't degrade any further, while we're still doing resurfacing and improving our asset. Manhole replacement project, that's ongoing over this year, next year as well. And then this was the old dome that was demolished from the reactor across the river over by the wastewater plant. And the Department of Energy did that project this year. Safe routes to schools, that happens every few years that we get grant funding from the state to do projects such as that. The water treatment plant maintenance building, that was supposed to be built when the water plant was built, but because the funding wasn't available, and the director of utilities was able to come up with the financing to get that project complete. And for this building, it was the exterior lighting, which is you can see it's just the elegant lighting at the top of the building to highlight the beautiful architecture. And this is a booster station and electrical panel upgrade that they did for our booster stations. And why is all this really important? You know, at the end of the day, we want good government done well, and we're positioning our community for success. And what that means is we're going to take our community vision and our community voice, and we're going to listen to it. And through the great work of our team, we're going to deliver that. And so with that, I just want to close and thanking everybody for coming this morning. And we look forward to the next 2 years and reporting back again. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to the Commission for your support. Have a nice day, everybody.